All right, so I moved to a different location as I record these as I can throughout the day. You might vaguely hear Lucy or Octonauts in the background, but hopefully it won't be too distracting. Anyway, the first of Haidt's 5 foundations is what he calls like a care harm foundation. And basically he argues that this is rooted in a fundamental human instinct, the parenting instinct. We have an ingrained tendency to care for our own children. And, what I'll say is whether or not this is biological or socialized, my feelings for Theo and Lucy, shown here, my feelings for Theo and Lucy's safety is just fundamentally different than for anyone else. Like the thought of some harm befalling them just it is scary in a way that even harm befalling my parents or my sister or my wife, there's nothing quite like that feeling. And what Haidt argues is that this gets extended to even people who aren't your own family. That that this idea we have to care for them and protect them from harm can get applied to people who are unrelated to you. For example, in this picture of Lucy, you might immediately, if I'm sorry to even introduce this idea, but if this baby was at risk of harm, if somehow she was pictured in a precarious situation, say, near a cliff's edge or something, there she is, like that would be awful even for you, right? And even if it were a random baby that you had no connection to, there's this deeply felt sense that we need to care for those who are helpless. And as an example of this, like a really weird one is this movie Apocalypse Now. I remember I was watching it at uni when I was must have been like my sophomore year, I think. And it's this movie. It's horrible war movie. So many people are killed, including so many people who don't deserve it. But the only moment, right, that really made everyone gasp and scream, you could hear people in the room respond, was when this puppy depicted on the screen was at risk of being hurt. And for what it's worth, the puppy was not hurt. But nevertheless, it kind of speaks to this. There's this visceral reaction we have. Now, what does this have to do with politics? What Haidt is saying is that care foundation, that caring and trying to protect certain helpless people from harm shows up in our politics. And one of the examples he uses is these bumper stickers he found around town. And this was in the early 2010s when both of these, when, for example, the genocide in Darfur, if you've heard of that, was kind of a big issue. Anyway, he sees these around town. And the question is, which one of these is a liberal and which one of these is a conservative? And I think, hopefully you're thinking about this right now. There were various other cues on the car. For example, the Wounded Warrior thing was also in the same car as one of those Tea Party snakes that says "Don't tread on me." And so the Stop the Genocide is on the Liberals' car. Notice also it says Humane Eating, another Liberal marker, and then the Wounded Warrior is on the Conservatives' car. In both cases, these are manifestations of that care foundation, right? Caring for these innocent people, often children, who are starving or victims of violence in Darfur. On the other hand, wounded warriors, people who fought for their country, and now, because they're wounded, can't totally fend for themselves, and they are deserving of care. And one of the points he makes about this is both conservatives and liberals talk about care. Though one thing that's shown here is, a liberal might be more likely to show this care for maybe a member of an out-group. It's a bigger part of liberal politics, and we're seeing it here with the Darfur sign. On the flip side, conservative care foundation more likely to be used for one of our own, particularly one who sacrificed for the country. There's more to it here, because I think I'm certainly not saying conservatives don't care about people from outside the country, but in terms of being central to politics, I think we can see various manifestations of that. And indeed, one of the things Haidt argues is that the Care Foundation plays a bigger role in liberal politics than conservative politics. Not to say conservatives don't care, it's just to say that liberals have that idea of caring for the helpless as more central to their politics, and it plays a bigger role. And in this regard, what I would like you to do is type in the field below you a response to this question. What is a manifestation of the Liberal Care Foundation in action? Can you think of examples of left-wing politics that could be interpreted as part of this concern for caring and protecting people from harm? Just try to come up with one example of the Liberal Care Foundation in action. Go for it.